Kirikowhai is a leading Māori data and information specialist focused on harnessing information to empower iwi, hapu and whānau and community development. Kirikowhai has over 15 years experience advising ministers, government agencies, tribal, community and private sector organisations with practical statistical analysis and innovative place-based data solutions. Kirikowhai is also a founding member, of Te Manararaunga, the Māori Data Sovereignty Network, and the lead technician to the Data Iwi's Leaders Group. Data Iwi Leaders Group from the Iwi Chairs Forum. Kirikowhai will share with us from her experience the role of data in iwi development. Nau mai e hoa, mai te pakipaki mo Kirikowhai.
A tēnā koutou, i tuatahi i tautoko au i ngā mihi kua mihia, tuarua ka tuku aku mihi ki aku i te tuakana, te tiamana o te Whanganui, me ngā mihi huki ki aku Whānau, ngā kai kōrero o tēnei wāhanga. Ka toru ka tuku mihi ki a koutou hei tatu mai nei, ki te whakarongo atu ki tēnei kōrero e pāna ki te manararanga a Māori, te manararanga ai ko Kirikowhai Mikaere tōku ingoa. Heuri no tēnei whenua o rotorua ko tūhaurangi me Ngāti Whakaue o hui, tēnā koutou. So I spend my days, really my role at the moment is around translating data for our people. So I am a Māori data translator, and in my role as the lead technician to the Data Iwi Leaders Group, I am a huge iwi data advocate. And so it's through that lens and with the captive audience that we've had come through today that much like the Crown and Bish, we're selective in their listening to the time restrictions. I'm selective in my listening to what it is that we're supposed to be sharing, but mainly because I want to share with you why we need data. And in many of the conversations that I have with different organisations and government departments, I keep getting the same question, which is, do you need data? Why do iwi need data? What are you guys going to do with data? So today, hopefully, you will leave with a little bit more of an understanding for why, when we come knocking on your door, we want some data. And in particular, I want to share with you the vital role that data plays in the development of and with our whānau and our people, of our place and for our future. We are invested and interested in the data that helps us make the decisions that we need to make, but we are also interested in the data that is used in decisions made about us. When it comes to people, the number one question for most of our iwi, actually for all of our iwi, is who and where are our whānau? How are they? How is their well-being? What is their level of wellness? And fundamental to that level of wellness is identity and the connection to identity. Darren talked about some of the different collections that currently are undertaken across the official statistics system, and particularly when it comes to the Māori population. I call it self-determination versus state determination. Essentially, there are two Māori populations collected in official statistics. One is the Māori ethnic population, as you can see in 2013, was around 598,000. That is the population that people refer to when they say Māori make up 15% of the population in this country. If you look at the Māori descent population, which is more based on biology ancestry or whakapapa, actually, as you'll see, that's a much bigger population, and that's more like 18 to 20% of the population, of the New Zealand population. Most government departments use the ethnic population. And so what we have found, and in some of our kōrero around the Whānau water framework, and in particular some of the Whānau water data analytics conversations, we sit at the table and we're pretty much talking past each other because we're talking about different populations. And what's really important for us in the iwi space, in iwi development space, is we're not just Māori, we are iwi, and we need data that is relevant to our decision makers. I'll share this story with you. This project here is a part of the Te Arawa Iwi Information Framework. And in 2012, we looked to pull together data and information that could help underpin the decisions that our leaders and our decision makers had to make in terms of our people, our place and our future. One of the key things we wanted to do and why we are trying to access the data that already exists is, one, we don't want to recreate the wheel, but two, we have a different lens when we look at the data. I heard this kōrero quite a few years ago, and I can't remember who it came from, so now when I share it, I say to people, you're welcome to attribute it to me. But essentially, your values are the lens through which you see the world. And we have a different set of values, and therefore we have a different lens when we look at the data. For this example here, in trying to populate our iwi information framework, we looked specifically at some education statistics. And we were able to pull some education statistics by iwi. And so in a room, a similar size to this, early one morning, I presented some of this data to our Te Arawa koeke, or our elders, around our ECE participation rates, our NCEA rates, and our engagement in the tertiary sector. At the end of the presentation, our leader got up and he said to me, he thanked me for coming to present some statistics at 8 o'clock in the morning, but he made 2 points. The first one, in my kōrero, I had highlighted that Te Arawa wahine were more highly educated than Te Arawa tāne, and that wasn't necessarily reflective of our governance boards. To which he said, I'm not sure about that, girl. But the second point he made, and it really has stayed with me and is a reason I am such an advocate for iwi data, is he said, we get told all the time how Māori are doing, or how bad they're doing in education. I don't actually know who that is. But when I see those graphs, when I hear that narrative about tūhaurangi, Ngāti Whakauwe, Ngāti Pikiao, Ngāti Rangi, I know who those whānau are. And those are my grandchildren, those are my mokopuna, and I will do something about that. At the moment in this country, our data ecosystem is set up for particular decision makers. And what we're asking of you is to think about, as we go forward in this pursuit of whole of system change, how do you help us, how do we help you transform the data ecosystem in this country so it's more responsive to other decision makers other than just the Crown. When it comes to place, and you heard little sister talk this morning about why we need data about place. So yes, we're interested in our people, but we're also interested in the place that we are tangata tiaki of, and the people who reside in our place. So with the process of stats, story solutions, we were able to, as you heard this morning, create awesome opportunities with our whānau, with our communities. But let me share with you some of the behind the scenes about actually how we got those stats. It was with great difficulty. And having worked at Statistics New Zealand for nearly 10 years, worked across the OSS in the Minister's office, I knew how to access data, and I still struggled to get the data and the statistics that we needed to make the kōrero relevant to our community and our whānau. So I put in huge data requests, customized data requests to try to break the data down to that place and to the people in that place. Then I had to do 19 OIAs across all these different ministerial portfolios because nobody wanted to give us data. Not the data that we wanted, they just wanted to give us the data that they thought we wanted. And then lastly, when we were able to scrape together a bit of information and data to help us transform the lives of our whānau, one of the key reasons that we wanted to use government data was because we knew we were going to sit down across the table from officials. And rather than spending the whole time with them questioning the integrity and validity of our data, we just wanted to use their data. So we got straight past that and into the conversation about solutions. What we did do though was put a different lens on that data. So when most people analyse the data to identify the key issues, we analyse the data to identify the opportunities for transformation. And then the product is what Irina shared this morning. We're also interested in data that helps us exercise our rangatiratanga and our kaitiakitanga for our future. This project, Piki Te Tuatia, an iwi information framework for the Rangi TK Iwi Collective, was done in collaboration with Kirikowhai Research and these 5 iwi who came to me, and like I've been sharing this morning, at a time where they said I wasn't busy because I was on maternity leave, to ask if I would help them gather robust data so they could make informed decisions about their development. They are and they were all in different states and stages of development, which is the case for all of our iwi across our motu. They're in different states and stages of development. One of these iwi, post-settlement. So they've gone through the settlement process, they have a little bit of money to think about how they invest and intervene in, I guess, helping our whānau achieve states of wellness and well-being. The other 4 are going through the process. What that also translates to in a data sense is 2 of them are on the official classification list for Statistics New Zealand's iwi classification. 3 of them are not. So you're very limited in the data that you can collect. You're limited in the data that you can connect through IDI and other sources. But ultimately, across those 5 iwi, they all had the same goal. They want whānau well-being. They want their whānau to be well. They don't want to state what that is. Similar to the Māori Stats Framework, this is a capabilities approach, albeit from a kaupapa Māori, iwi-driven lens. But ultimately, iwi want better iwi information and better iwi analysis so they can create better iwi futures. And what we are interested in is designing our own development and measuring towards our aspirations, not just having data that helps us manage our levels of desperation and deprivation. When I shared this with a CE down here in Wellington, who is in charge of collecting important data, I'll leave it at that, they said to me, in regards to our concerns around the focus on deprivation and desperation statistics, that is the data we collect and I make no apologies for it. So what that's inspired me to do is to really drive our kaupapa around data and move away from being just data providers and data consumers, consuming whatever people tell us, here's your state, here's what you need to do, to actually being data designers. And that's where we want to co-design with many of the people here, the decision makers, the government departments, the policy makers, but also the people who create the collections to collect the data. We want to design a better data ecosystem for our country. When we talk about whānau transformation and how data is vital to empowering transformation for whānau, for hapu and for iwi, we're not talking about transforming into something better or more worthy necessarily. We are talking about transforming out of everything we are not. We're talking about transforming into the fullness of who we truly are of who we have always been. That is what we deem whānau and whānau welfare. Koe nā tāku, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou.